Hello everyone, my name's Brian Davis and welcome to ScubaTuber Live. This is my sort of interview program where I talk to other YouTubers who specialize in scuba diving and give you a bit of a backstory on them to find out the person behind the good videos, the funny stories, so you can just understand a bit more about them. Today I've been very lucky in getting Matthias Lebo, I hope I've pronounced that correct, Matthias, to agree to an interview. It's a bit short of time, so we may have to speed a few things up. But his channel, Matthias Lebo, is fantastic if you're interested in underwater photography and videography. It's what he does is truly amazing. So we're really lucky to have him on board today. If you've got any questions, just stick them in the comments and we'll put them up on the screen and they will be answered. I think we've got Critter Hunter on already. Critter Hunter's in the room. Teach me something about Critter getting or I'm leaving. Well, yeah, if you look on some of the YouTubes, people have been finding octopuses Critter. So, Blue Horizon, I can recommend that. They'll teach you. Captain Eelgrass, he seems pretty good at it as well. You're pretty crap at it, aren't you? A bit like big crabs, you can't find those either. Anyway, with no further ado, we're short on time. Let's get Matthias in the room. Hi, Matthias.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much, Brian, for having me on the show.
No, it's really cool having you. And I couldn't believe it when you agreed virtually instantly to come on.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Love it.
Because I'm a big fan of you. I play around with my GoPros and messing around, and I've got some stuff coming up. But when I need to understand stuff, I can look on your channel first. So awesome. Really big thank you from everyone for you agreeing to do this today. So I know you're a bit short of time. So we'll just kick off with some questions about you and diving. So how long have you been diving?
I have been diving for about 16 years. I took my open water course back in 2004 while I was traveling through New Zealand and Australia. And in Australia, I just couldn't leave Australia without getting my open water certification done.
Right, were you backpacking or traveling around the world? Or?
Yeah, I was backpacking. Yeah, I spent about a year in New Zealand, Australia, and the States. Back in 2003 and 2004, and during that time I did my open water course. Yeah.
And what was the driver for that? What gave you that desire to learn to dive?
See, when I was at school with something like 16, 17 years of age, I was able to do an introductory dive in a indoor swimming pool at school, and even though it was a dirty old dark swimming pool, I was amazed by being underwater and just the feeling of actually breathing underwater. And then like 2 years after that, on a vacation in Egypt, I was able to do a introductory dive in the ocean, in the Red Sea. And that just blew my mind completely. I just didn't want to get out of the water. Unfortunately, it was the second last day of my vacation, so I didn't have time to complete my open water course back then. But I caught up for that when I was in Australia. Yeah, I was definitely hooked. Yeah.
And did you say you learned in Australia or New Zealand?
In Australia, in Cairns on the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, life's a bitch, right?
Yeah, not the worst place to learn. But you're spoiled after that, because anywhere you go after this, it's going to be really hard to compete with the Great Barrier Reef.
And did you just do the course there, or did you do some diving afterwards as well? Or?
I did the course and I did some more diving in Australia, not on the Great Barrier Reef. I think we went further down to Townsville. We did a couple of dives down there. And then as I was traveling around on the west coast of Australia, I did a couple of dives over there, snorkeled with whale sharks, dove with manta rays. So yeah, I got a really good deal right at the beginning, getting into scuba diving. And later on, I actually went back to Australia a couple of years after that, because as you said before yourself, I was hooked from that very first moment, putting my head underwater. And I knew that diving has to have a very important role in the rest of my life. So after a couple of years, I went back to Australia. In between, I got my certification level up to dive master, and I took my my instructor level certification in Australia again. And then I started working in the diving industry for a couple of years.
All right, and that you're a PADI instructor, I guess, and you went just straight through the PADI system.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then was that your first real job as a dive instructor, or what did you do before that?
Yes, that was my first real job as a diving instructor, as a full-time diving instructor. Before that, very traditional, like most Swiss people do. You either go into the chocolate making world or you become a banker, and I became a banker, unfortunately. I don't even know why. It was, I guess, pressure from my surroundings here to get a proper job. So I became a banker, did that for a couple of years, but shortly afterwards realized that the finance world is not for me. I'm just not that type of guy. And then I went and started working for a travel agency, and I worked for a hotel animation team or entertainment team, keeping the tourists busy in different places around Europe in hotels.
Was that just in the summer, was it? Or?
It was throughout the year. It was like in the summer in Europe, and then in winter I was in Egypt and in Turkey, where they also have tourism in wintertime. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Whereabouts in Egypt was it?
It was in close to Hurghada. It's called what was it called? No, it wasn't. No. It was Makadi Bay.
Makadi Bay, right? No,
yeah.
The reason I ask, I used to go to Egypt a lot until recently. I've just sold my house in El Gouna.
Oh, did you?
My neighbour is the owner of the Three Corners, Belgium lady and her family.
Right.
And it just would have been coincidence if you had been part of their animation team.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. No. I was working for TUI and for a hotel there in the Makadi Bay. Yeah.
Right. And then, as an instructor, when you did your open water instructor, did you just stop there, or did you decide to do some tech diving? Or
I did, yeah. It was actually quite interesting. I just this is a topic that has been following me for a little while now, because there's been other YouTubers talking about solo diving, and probably after about having taught about 6-7 months, I realized that that I was practically solo diving all the time, even though I was diving with 6 to 8 students on every single dive. But I realized that I cannot rely on them to help me out if anything happens to me on a training dive, right? So I decided to take up or to do a solo diving course. So I did that. That was very beneficial. That was one of the best courses I have ever taken. And then I did take some technical diving, some like Tech 50 or something, I think it's called, also from PADI, on a visit to Thailand. I thought I was going to get more into the technical type of diving, and really wanted to do that too. But after returning back to Switzerland in 2011, I realized that I'm physically not the biggest and the strongest person. So I was struggling already in tropical waters with, a thin wetsuit, carrying doubles and stuff. But then in a dry suit, in cold water, and with stages here in Switzerland, I was just, this is not for me. I just don't enjoy it.
What about rebreathers?
I have never tried rebreather diving. That's not true. I tried it once in Bonaire about a year ago. And I do really want to get certified on rebreathers, but it's not.
As a filmmaker and photographer, it will enhance your work, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. I see it the same way. It's just a little difficult to get certified here in Switzerland, and but yeah, that's definitely a course that is way on top of my wish list to take.
Well, as you know from my Tech Talk Live, I know a man who can.
Fantastic. Maybe you need to introduce us.
Well, I think David's rebreathers would suit you as a photographer, because they're compact, small units, and you'll be using them in relatively shallow depths for the filming, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not. The aim is not to go as deep as I can, but to obviously be able to stay longer and not make any noise.
Have you ever thought about using a twin hose regulator? Because they're being made again now. Aqualung make one. There's a superb one which I'm I'm trying to get one of the guy who makes them in batches called the Kraken, and that the bubbles would then go up. And when I used to use them, you know, they were great because there was hardly any, relatively to any noise. You know, so might be worth a try.
Yeah, I might. I really might check that out. Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Critter Hunter's back on these. Everyone misses Dab. No, Critter Hunter, only you miss Dab. You know, we like the other side. You know.
True. Yeah, I like Marsa Alam.
Me too.
Yeah. There's a place that I call my second home, a little dive resort close to Marsa Alam, where before this year, like for the past 6 or 7 years, I have been there every single year for like a week or two. And it's just, you know, so easy, shore diving, non-limit. You can go whenever you want.
You've done, you've done some videos on. You can give them a shout out. You know, we're not the BBC.
Yeah, it's Marsa Chagra they're called, or the and it's a fantastic place. It's like family to me. I really enjoy being there, and they just make it all about the diving. You know, it's not a high class resort or anything. It's very basic, but you've got all the comfort that you need. The food is good, and you can dive pretty much all day round. So yeah, it's a really cool place.
That's just going on my bucket list. You know,
cool.
Right, let's get a few questions. Number of dives.
To be quite honest, I can't say it exactly, but I would guess somewhere between 2,700 to 3,000, somewhere in that area.
Right, so that's the next question.
Stopped counting, really, I have to say.
You've stopped logging your dives, so
correct.
Yeah, right. That was going to be the next question. Right, Brian's going to give you a business class ticket anywhere in the world. He's going to pay for the hotel, give you probably €5,000 spending money. Right, you haven't been there before. Top bucket list location for diving.
Galapagos,
good one.
Yeah,
I've been lucky to be there.
You've been there, yeah.
Years ago, yeah. 20.
Have you been on a liveaboard or land-based?
Yeah, on a liveaboard called was it the Kuan Law or the Lammerlaw? They were trimarans.
Nice,
fantastic, really good.
So you went all the way up north to Darwin's Arch, and
all the way. I think 7 or 10 days we were there. I don't think those boats are still going, but the guy who owned the operation, I think he was a Scot based in America, based, and he built them designed and built them himself. So they were purposely designed for diving, but you could sail. Matthias, he's back again. He's got another question. Can I borrow some expensive cameras? I guess the answer to that is...
Sure, Justin, come and get him. You're always welcome.
Yeah, and of course you want a deposit, right?
Do you know what? I'll just come to the Philippines and just bring some cameras, and then we'll go and dive together. How's that for a deal?
Oh, yeah. You've reminded me, you've got your new camera, right?
Yes, correct.
How's that? Have you started using it yet?
I have. I've started using it for my videos. I've started using it for client work, like land-based client work that I do. I haven't taken it underwater yet because I'm still missing the housing. So there's only really 2 manufacturers that make a housing for their camera. Nauticam, I've got some ties to Nauticam, so I'm trying to get them to send me a test housing I can use for a little while and see how that works. And the other one is Gates, and with Gates, I haven't reached out to them yet. I've got a contact there that I'll have to reach out to in the next few days and see what they can do for me. But I'll definitely want to get a housing and take that camera down underwater. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
You made Critter Hunter happy. Oh, you can deliver them. And then, of course, he wants some free teaching.
Of course, yeah. Well, you know, they only come with me in a package. It's a package deal.
All right. Talking about where you've been and your favorite dive location today.
This is a really tough one, and probably
well, I'm going to pay you a business class ticket, €5,000 to go back. So you can only choose one.
Okay. So for a very long time, I would have said Indonesia, Bali, Raja Ampat, that kind of area. I've really enjoyed. But now, having lived in Europe again for quite some years, I would probably say Egypt, because it's close, it's very easy to reach, and I think Egypt still to this date has some world-class diving, very accessible world-class diving, great liveaboard destinations, and also some fantastic shore diving as well.
And it's cost effective.
And it's
very cost effective.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And you can go just for a week.
You can get a liveaboard for $1,000, $1,100 a week. I mean, where in the world? I mean, look at Indonesia, Raja Ampat or Tubataha in Philippines. One, it costs a lot to get there, and two, you're paying, what, $2,500, $3,500 for a week's diving.
Easily. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, liveaboard or land-based for your fun diving?
Always liveaboard. Always.
Well,
I enjoy. I just enjoy having my gear set up for a week, not having to touch it, and just having my tank refilled all the time and being able to do 4 or 5 dives a day, which is, it's just very tough to do when you're diving land-based. So
dive, eat, and sleep. I love it.
Yeah, definitely liveaboard. Yeah.
All right, we've got Abdullah's joined us, and he's saying nice topic. Abdullah, if you've got any questions, just put them in the comments, and we will answer them for you. Captain Eelgrass, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Captain Eelgrass, I don't know if you've seen his channel. He's not got many subscribers. He should have a lot more. He's up in the North Pacific, and he goes out and puts his GoPro out and just leaves it, and he's got these octopuses at the moment, which is a great wind up for Critter Hunter, because he's supposed to be showing us octopuses.
Right.
So we've got Bermuda giving us octopuses, we've got Captain Eelgrass giving us octopuses, and we've got Justin sitting there. The water's still a bit warm.
It'll get there.
Right, let's have a look now. Money no object, where would you live?
Well, see, this is an interesting question, because I don't think that I have ever chosen the location where I lived in the past based on the topic or the issue of money. This was never really a biggie for me. And I think I would even stay here in Zurich. I really enjoy living here in Zurich, also because my family is here. I am from here, and I've been out in the world. I've lived in different places, but I've really enjoyed coming back here and living here close to my family and my very close friends from my childhood. So I don't know, even if you'd give me all the money in the world, if I would really want to go and live somewhere permanently. I love traveling, don't get me wrong. I love going to tropic, exotic destinations and dive there and film. But really living there, I don't know if I would still want to do that.
See, that's a bit like me. I'm in 3 years' time, maximum. I'm stopping doing my full-time job, and I'm leaving the construction industry. And having lived in Dubai since 1987, and then overseas before that, people would say to me, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" So I'm going back to England.
Yeah.
And they look at me like I'm from outer space. They said, "Do you want to adjust?" I said, "Look, I go to England when there's not COVID 5 or 6 times a year. I love it." So my plan is to spend the summers in England on a narrowboat, or if I can afford it, a wide beam seagoing barge, which I can keep in the southern canals in England, and then enjoy the summer, go over to Europe into their canal system, and then as soon as it starts getting dark at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm off to Asia diving, Egypt, Maldives, ending up in Philippines and Indonesia, back for Christmas, back out.
That sounds like a fantastic plan. I'm just a little jealous there.
Yeah, well, I'll be 65 then. That's at my 61st. But actually, I want it a few months earlier, so I get the first summer in England.
Okay.
We've got Vets. Good day, all from the Philippines. He's a good supporter of my channel and Critter Hunters. Oh, here's Critter Hunter again. He's not going to be outdone. Good day from Darwin. All right, Critter Hunter, we love you. I was trying to get him to make a guest appearance, but his Wi-Fi sucks today, so
All
I
right,
can't
okay.
look it up on the screen. Right, now let's talk about why you got into underwater filmmaking, videography. So yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned something before when we were talking before we went live that when I started diving back in 2004, none of my family members, none of my friends were divers. So it was, for me, it was really tough back then to explain to them what fascinated me so much about being in the water and scuba diving. So the only way that was possible to do that for me was to show them pictures, so taking photographs first. But that wasn't really doing the trick either. So I wanted to show them what it's really like down there. So I started to actually film with whatever camera I had available at that time, which was back then, it was a small, like a Canon point and shoot kind of camera. So yeah, and ever since I felt like an obligation to share what I see underwater with the world and to show people how beautiful the world is below the surface. And I mean, you know, well, we've got 70% of the surface of the world is water. So why not share this as much as we can with everyone so people realize how beautiful our oceans are, how important they are as well for us as a human species, and hopefully put more effort into protecting them.
Yeah, and that's where I'm quite lucky, because I learned to dive in 1982. And in those, I dived. I mean, my first dive in the Egyptian Red Sea, I dived in the Saudi Red Sea before. It was like gin, clear. In fact, I'd done some dives on the Arabian Gulf back in 1982. But when I first went to the other side, I was down at 50 meters because I wasn't weighted correctly, because old BSAC system just weight them up and they go. And I'm looking at my depth gauge, no computer. Oh, poo-poo. But you have to memorize the tables in those days. Oh, shit, my dive is now 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have multi-stops and all of that.
Yeah.
And it just shocked me. It was that clear. Yeah. And there was a dive boat called the Lady Jenny 5. When I first went to Sinai, the Israelis had just given it back. And there were no Egyptian boats. They were all foreign registered. A boat called the Lady Jenny. I jump in on my first sort of checkout dive and see a tiger shark, but I didn't know it was a tiger shark. And this is just off Sharm el Sheikh, you know, and everyone's going, do you know what we saw? Yes, it was reef shark.
Nice.
So how did it develop from that to you becoming a professional underwater videographer and filmmaker? I mean, when did that happen?
Well, that was kind of a transition that happened over time, because after I used to work as a full-time scuba instructor for about 5 years, I think. My last destination was Bali, and after that year in Bali, I decided it's time to come back to Switzerland. I was like 29 years of age, and I felt like it's time to, you know, settle down and go back home and then do something, get a normal job. Right. So I found a job in a travel agency, a dive tour operator, actually, which was suiting me quite well at that time, because I was still very close with the topic of diving, but I was having an office job. I got paid decent money finally again. And I was able to just have a regular, normal life here in Zurich. While I was working for that dive tour operator, we were obviously, as you do as a member there, you get invited to visit all the different products that you sell. So we got invited to like all the different places to see their new hotels, their new dive resorts and stuff. And as I was visiting all these places, I always had my camera with me. Whenever I dived, I took some footage and put something little together. And then people started asking me, well, Matthias, can you not just put something small together for us as a show reel that we can put on our Facebook page, on our website and social media? So I started doing that. And at one point I realized, well, you know, I can also ask them to pay me something for this. I don't have to do it for free, right? And this is how this idea developed. So this is where it all started. And because I had been in the scuba diving and tourism industry for so long, I know a lot of people, a lot of resort owners, boat owners, and it was not too difficult for me to reach out to them and, you know, sell them my services to go out there and produce some promotional material for them. And that's how it all started.
Now, I guess your client base is much broader.
Yes.
Because I saw it on your website.
Yes.
Are you making a reasonable living out of it?
Well, Brian, it's the whole underwater filmmaking part is only a small portion of my income. It's really not. It's not something that is substantial enough to support my living, especially not in Switzerland, where the cost of living is quite high. So I've probably about 5-6 years ago, I've started running a film production company, a small film production company here in Zurich. And I do a lot of work, social media content, creation of social media content for small and mid-sized local companies.
Okay, so
from all different types of, all different areas and branches. So,
which is using the same skill set as you use for your underwater videography?
Mostly.
Right,
It's probably a little less than that because you don't have to dive, but
it's not the filming, it's the editing and putting the story together. By the way, the film competition, when does it end, or has it ended?
It has ended, and tonight will be the award ceremony. Tonight,
do you know if you've won?
No, we don't. That's going to be announced at the ceremony tonight.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm very
that's
excited.
why you're a bit short of time, so I better get going a bit. Right.
It's all right. Don't worry. We're good.
We got some more people join. Wet Souls, interesting insight. Thanks, guys. Thanks for looking. Any questions? Just put them up on the comments. We'll answer them. And here's Mrs. Carmack.
Hello.
The better-looking one of the two. She's. I'm in the British royal family. Hello, Sir Brian. Right? No.
Fantastic.
I'm a sir, you're a mister. Who have you upset? Guys, Credunter again. Matty boy, what's your YouTube goals? That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, what's my YouTube goal? I have actually, YouTube has always been kind of a side thing for me when I first started with it, because it was basically a play field for me. So I was able to just experiment, put stuff on YouTube, see how people like it, all that sort of stuff. And what I was saying beforehand, that I'm kind of made it my mission to show people how beautiful our oceans are and that they're very well worth protecting. But I've also realized that it's not up to me. I can't do this by myself. I need help. I need as many people as possible that will show the beauty of our oceans to the rest of the world so that we can actually make an impact. So I've decided to teach people and share my knowledge on filmmaking underwater. And I think that's the goal. I want to reach out to as many people as I can and be a resource of knowledge and help to people that want to learn more about filmmaking so that they can capture their adventures they undertake underwater, share it with, well, obviously first their family and friends, and then a broader audience worldwide. So I think that's the only way that we can make an impact and do something for the oceans.
Well, I'm thankful for your channel, because as you know, on my Paralens and GoPro journey, without the Paralens, they've delayed it again. They promised September. I paid for it way back in April, May. Then they said, now there's been no communication. And then when I sort of complained about the reply, and that's, well, we thought it was appropriate, and now they've kept quiet. So I guess on the last day of the month, I'll get it. Oh, it'll be November.
All right. That's interesting. Yeah, I've reached out to them as well, because I did some reviews for them in the past, and I reached out to ask them whether I can get the new one, the Vaquita, to test it out. If they have a test version or a test model that they can lend me just to test and then send it back to them. And they've been delaying that for like 2 or 3 months now as well. So it seems like they really have trouble delivering all their products.
Yeah, I did expect a lot more from them, to be honest. And now, because I'd only started a couple of months ago because I was using my friends' footage and stuff before, my buddies. Yeah. And then my GoPro 8, the front screen, or the little screen on the front, which has got tells you when it's switched on and stuff, that bled, and I got on the put a complaint on, and warranty complaint. Someone phoned me up. Yeah. And within an hour, it sent me everything for the courier. for me to send back, and about 8 days later, a new one came. I didn't have to pay any import duty. I didn't have to pay any courier. And that was, I mean, that was amazing. So anyway, a couple of people have come on. Shanti from Seychelles, a friend of mine. Hi, Brian. Hi, Shanti. That's where we've got to go diving. Seychelles. I've been a couple of times and I didn't go diving.
Really?
Yeah. You won't believe where I've been. And because when I'm in work mode on a construction, in and out on a specialist construction job, I just get tunnel vision. It's one of my weaknesses, but I have corrected that. You know, I go to Mauritius sometimes, and now when I go to Mauritius, I go a weekend before, and then work for 3 or 4 days, and after the other weekend to go diving. So I've corrected that sort of problem with my character. Wet Soul's back on. Also nice to hear someone being open about remuneration, giving a realistic outlook on underwater photography and filming. Well, that's why we're here, isn't it, Matthias?
Thank you.
Ask those questions and get to know the guy behind the camera. Oh, Shanti, interested in getting an underwater drone. What would you suggest?
Interesting question. I actually had an underwater drone. Say again?
You've got one for sale.
It actually sold today. Funny enough, I sold it today to another guy here in Switzerland, the south part of Switzerland. But I did have one, the Nemo drone, which was probably back about a year or two. It was very famous or popular on the market when they released it. Let me give you my honest opinion on underwater drones. I've only tested that one drone, so I can't really speak for any other drones. I know there is some drones that will actually kind of follow you on your dive. They're not cable attached or anything, so those might be a little more interesting to look into. But the one that I had, the Nemo drone from, I think the company is called Aqua Robot Man, it's nice, but in my opinion, it's a toy. So if you're looking for something to play around with, just have it in the water. It's got obviously a camera, so you can film, and it films in 4K, but it's basically like a GoPro attached or built into that drone. It's attached to a cable because you need to be able to remotely control the drone, and that's done through the cable. The footage is so-so, and it's really, really tough to control it. The slightest current will just make it literally impossible to go where you want to go with the drone. You have to get really close to stuff to have a proper look at it. And yeah, it's a good toy, but it's a very expensive toy. But if that's what you want, then they can be fun for a little while, but it's definitely not something that you can use like as a compensator for or even as professional underwater filming gear. These small drones, they just don't really do the job well enough, in my opinion.
So they are, Shanti. You're going to have to learn to dive and get a GoPro.
Correct. Yeah, that's the best way.
Let's just coming back to your business as an underwater filmmaker. I guess COVID-19 has really scuppered some plans and some of your business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to go anywhere for work this year. So all my work I did was based here in Zurich. I had a couple of jobs lined up for this year, but they just, they just didn't happen. Sorry, I just activated Siri by some mistake.
Oh.
So no jobs happened this year in the diving industry for me, really. And that's obviously because I wasn't able to travel, which is bad, but it's the way it is. I mean, I'm still lucky enough to be in Switzerland during this whole situation that's happening, and there's people and places around the world that were hit much worse than I am. So it's all okay. It's all good.
Yeah, that's where we've been lucky in Dubai. The government's done a superb job. Yeah. And here, it's not like back home where people want to challenge authority. The government puts the rules out, right? We follow them. And now we're living a relatively normal life. We have a huge amount of testing. A couple of people I know have passed away, but relatively speaking to the rest of the world, because of good management and people following the rules. I think now the risk of somebody dying is very remote here. because they catch you early, and
yeah,
they've gone around the world to learn how to treat it. So yeah,
that's good to hear.
right. So at least it's giving you a bit more time for your YouTube channel. I may have not got an interview with you. You've been jetting off to Egypt and Indonesia and stuff. Let's come back to your channel.
Yes.
Do you consider the channel a success so far, or have you got some benchmarks in terms of subscribers and viewers, which then you'll say, yeah, it's now a success, or is it still work in progress?
Well, I think it is a work in progress, and it's always going to be a work in progress, because I don't think that there is like a point in time where it's going to be finished. It's not like any YouTube channel is a work in progress at any time, because it's not that at one point you just stop producing and creating content. Coming back to your question, yes, I do think it's a success, simply because of even just this afternoon or this hour I can spend with you talking about the passion of filming underwater, and all the interactions, the countless ones that I get with the community on my channel and other YouTubers, ScubaTubers. It's just really nice to be able to have those interactions and to just share the knowledge of how you can acquire the best possible footage underwater. And it doesn't matter whether you're filming with a GoPro, with a Paralens, with a point and shoot camera, or even with a cinema system. With each of these, if you follow a certain number of rules, you can get really good footage, really good images out of it, and tell you a story, whatever it is that you want to tell and convey to people. So yeah, I think it's a success. There's certainly room to grow. I've only just been uploading and sort of taking the YouTube channel seriously ever since COVID came along. Before that, it was really, right? Yeah, it was really more of a side thing, and now it's developed into something that I'm just not more passionate about, but I do dedicate more time to it. Very consciously, and I try to upload twice a week, and I'm in the process of remodeling the YouTube channel in terms of different playlists, and just making it easier for people to find the topics that they're interested in, and that they want to watch. And as long as I get comments saying that they're getting something out of my videos, it is a success completely.
Well, I had a big day today. Because I did a video on our most historic wreck, the Dara.
Yeah.
And usually you go around the Dara like this, no? But I don't know what happened. We had really nice viz, and I went from bow to stern and shot the video. And today, the guy who runs the Dubai Volunteer Dive Team, who when I go ask them which wrecks they want me to go and have a look at, and I spot for them to see which ones have got nets and rope on. Called me up today and said, can we have the footage? Can we use it for Abu Dhabi News tonight? And I said, yeah, sure. So
awesome.
Yeah. So 62-year-old Brian with his little GoPro and no real knowledge is on the news tonight, the Arabic news.
Fantastic. Congratulations, mates. That's awesome.
Critter Hunter's having a go at me. When is Brian finding the guitar shop? I found it, Critter Hunter. Stay tuned.
Oh, something's coming up.
Yeah, something's coming up. I've been a bit busy on live stream, and I do have to work in another job for a living, but it's there. Right. So, advice for budding scuba tubers. Someone's sitting there. They've got a small YouTube channel. They put stuff up. For someone starting his channel, what advice would you give them?
Well, there's always the kind of regular, normal advice that everyone says: be patient and be persistent. But I think that most important is to create the content that you love. Stuff that you would want to watch. And if you want to watch it, there's a fair big chance that there's someone out there as well who enjoys watching that content. Do whatever you're passionate about. Whatever the topic is that you want to bring out into the world, just do it with passion. And it might take time. Some niches are smaller than other ones, and it might take a little bit longer to find the people that are really interested into your content, but you'll find them eventually. And also, don't stress too much about having to do 2 uploads every week or every day or whatever. Just do it whenever you have time. Try to be a little consistent if you can and a little dedicated to it. But don't stress too much about it, because I found it out myself that when you stress about stuff, it's going to be visible in your videos and the way you create your content, and it's not what you really want to put on YouTube. So yeah,
it loses something. I noticed that when I've rushed something and then I've said, oh no, we're not going to upload it.
Yeah,
I've had a look at it, and the pressure on. Oh, I've only got one up this week. I always put two up, and then I think it is worth just saying, okay, I'm only putting one up this week, or I'm going to. So like with my GoPro and Paralens journey, I was going to do one every Friday, but it was just too much work.
Yeah.
So now I'll say, right, we'll try and move to one every 2 weeks. If that doesn't work, because I've got to buy the stuff, AliExpress, right? It's great. I've got stuff coming from there. Some of it's crap, some of it's great. But then I've got to get in the water, and
of course,
I don't want to be a desk jockey. Just say, yeah, I've opened the box. This looks good. I like the light. I actually want people to see it.
Of course,
underwater. And I misjudged that trying to do one a week on that, because there's so much involved, and then you've got to edit it, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and if you want to do it properly, or what means properly, if you're passionate about it and you really want to do the best you can, it's not something that you can just throw together in an hour. It's just going to take some time, especially as you say, as scuba divers, you want to test it. It's not like you go around the block once and see whether it works or not. You actually have to get in the water. You have to test it. You might have to even do more than one dive to test all the functions of it and get a bit of experience with it before you can do an honest, decent review about a product, right?
Yeah, it's like the Fusion lights that I bought, which I think for the money are brilliant. But I had to buy a light box as well, because I wanted, I can be a bit anal on these sort of things, right? And then I found out that the specs were different on the box and in the thing. And then when I contacted them, I mean, they were really good. They came back, and then they gave me some different burn times. Yeah. And then you've got to try, well, it's a torch and it's a video light, and as you say, to do it right, it does. I underestimated it, right? I underestimated it as a task. So, right, we're just over 40 minutes, and I know you wanted to keep this.
That's okay. We're still good. Don't worry, Brian. We're still good.
Well, we've got the kind of last question I've got for you is, and then we'll see if we get some more questions. What's your favorite YouTube channel and why?
My favorite YouTube channel for quite a while has been Peter McKinnon's channel. Very famous YouTuber that just blew up out of nowhere about 4 years or so ago, and he's been a massive inspiration for me in the way that he creates content, in the way how dedicated he is, how passionate he is about what he does, and like years ago, he had a saying on one of his YouTube videos that went like, "Done is better than perfect." And this is a saying that has been with me for a long time. It has helped me quite often, even with client work, where I used to be a perfectionist. It always had to be 100%, even 110%. And oftentimes this is not very productive, and it's getting in your way.
I know the feeling.
Especially as a YouTuber, it's something that is really, really bad when you have, when you want to output content on a regular basis. Because yes, you can spend hours and days tweaking a video, but in the end, it's much better to have it 90 or 95% perfect and have it out there so people can see it, enjoy it, watch it, rather than tweaking on that for days and days and just never releasing it.
What's Peter's channel called? Is it called Peter McKinnon?
Peter McKinnon, yeah. If you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. It's a really, really cool channel. It's like just the way he actually goes about filmmaking and creating, and the passion that he puts into all his videos, the detail that he pays attention to in all his videos and stuff. He's a great storyteller as well. I learned a lot about storytelling from watching his videos. So I can highly recommend.
Prince is a good storyteller, isn't he?
He is. He's a very funny storyteller too. I laughed my ass off the other day when I watched his last video with the flounder, I think it was, and that was really funny. Yeah, well done, Justin, if you're still watching.
Yeah, he's there. Oh, he's back up there. Yeah. I got a New Yorker torch today. It'll come in handy when I don't find out. I don't know what he means by that one. Is he going to do something with it that's painful, or?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to that video.
His favourite.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, we don't self-promote within the gang, right? Come on.
But that's okay. You know, I don't have to state the obvious.
Yeah, but mine is Judea's life is number one, then Critter Hunter.
All right.
So, you know, that's I kind of covered all the questions. Is anything you want to say in closing? When are you planning to travel for diving again?
Well, I'm hoping to do something next year. I was meant to go to Egypt this year at the beginning in like April, I think, March or April, which didn't happen. So I'm still I still want to go to Egypt. That's probably going to happen next year, either Egypt or maybe to Sudan. Maybe go on a liveaboard down to the southern Red Sea.
You'll not believe this. I've booked twice and paid twice to go to Sudan. One many years ago.
Yeah.
I'd been in Muscat in Oman on work, and I'd done some diving, and I didn't feel too great, so I stayed an extra day in the hotel, then drove all the way back to Dubai. And I went to bed, and I got up in the morning, felt crap, and then someone said to me, "You look yellow, so you better go to the doctor." I went to the doctor, and I caught hepatitis. You know, not the bad one. I think it was hepatitis B, or the one that's
treatable. Yeah,
the one that's treatable. 6 months off, you know, living decently, and you're okay. And a couple of days later, I was supposed to have been going to Sudan in the old days, when it wasn't as easy as getting there now.
Yeah.
And if I'd gone, I would have probably died. It was with a guy called Jack Jackson, the big shark diving guy. And then last year I booked, right, to go with her. And right at the last minute, I had to change my plans. And I thought, God, I'm jinxed with Sudan. I've been to Sudan loads of times on business, right? Loads of times.
Not for diving.
And for diving, it's just got me.
You'll get there. You'll get there eventually. I was in Sudan probably about 6 or 7 years ago on a liveaboard, and I just really loved it. And I mean, many people told me, like many older people told me, that Sudan as it is now is what Egypt was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and I think everyone still raves about Sudan, and we've got direct flights on I think Air Arabia to Port Sudan. You know, so Brock Morell's on. I'm looking forward to seeing an episode of Matthias Lebo, underwater cinematographer and filmmaker, and Peter McKinnon together. Well, let's see if we can try and make that happen.
Hi, Brooke. Thank you. Well, you're closer to Peter, so maybe you should hit him up and make that suggestion.
Send him a link to this video when it's up tomorrow. Mark from Blue Horizon, I'm interviewing him this Friday.
Cool.
Will the new torch help him to find it? So he's having a go at Critter Hunter. Definitely not. You know, he needs more than a new torch. And this is Critter Hunter's wife. She's absolutely laughing. Critter Hunter's replied, "Go away." He's such a nice guy, but every now and again, then he gets a bit grumpy. Critter Hunter and Blue Horizon are having a go at each other now. So good to see you all, guys. Our little sort of ScubaTuber club.
Fantastic.
So yeah, from me, that's it. I mean, it's been. Hold on. Critter Hunter, you haven't. No, you haven't. Oh, he hasn't been to the Philippines, have you?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have a couple of times actually. Yeah, I was in Cabilao. I was in Darwin. I spent some time at there's a Swiss place, Sea Explorers, which is in Darwin. And I know the guy who owns the place there, Chris Heim. He was one of his resorts were one of the main products we sold when I was working for the tour operator here in Switzerland. So yeah, I know the Philippines. Yeah, well, Justin, you should go and check out my channel. There's a couple of videos about the Philippines on there.
Yeah. Well, I like to go to the Philippines 3 or 4 times a year because again, it's very easy. I dive out of Anilao.
Nice.
Because both my kids are scuba divers, so they both learned in Anilao. I've got a good friend up in Angeles. He's a project director on an airport up there. He used to be in Dubai, old BSAC diver. So we go down to Subic and dive. But now I've got to get down to Darwin, of course.
Of course.
And see the critter hunter.
We should try to get a meet up and.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
And post small videos every day.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like
looks like Brock's on the case for you.
I'm trying. Peter only lives. What did you say? Peter only lives an hour away from me, but I don't want to be a stalker. Well, you've got my permission. You can be a stalker if that helps. But that's pretty cool. Maybe I just need to come and visit you, Brooke, and then we go and stalk Peter together.
All right, we've got Wet Souls. They're a very cool chat as a critter hunter one. Great. How do you think we can support each other further in the ScubaTuber community? See, I've got the word out there. I invented the term ScubaTuber. It's now mainstream. How do you think we could support each other? I'll never go answering this, and then you, Matthias. But I think by doing things like this, Wet Souls, I would like to interview you. My email is very simple. It's bdavies.scuba@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook, or just hit me up in one of the comments. I'll send you the details. So I think this is a great way we can help each other, because instead of just doing comments and stuff on Messenger and via YouTube, we actually talk in person. And again, if any of the ScubaTubers later on want to join in and ask a question in person, I do have the ability to send you a link very quickly and get you in asking the question in person. I might try and do that on future episodes. Matthias, how should we support each other?
How do we support each other? By just being together as a community. I think it would also be good if we could, get together physically. Obviously, at this time it's a little difficult, but what I'm trying to do is that's probably going to happen. I'm trying to make it happen next year. I really want to have like a kind of a week on location somewhere, either in Egypt or in the Caribbean somewhere. I'm thinking maybe Bonaire, Curacao, and have like a week of us or people who are interested in the whole filmmaking concept underwater, to have a place where they can meet, where they can dive together, where we can learn from each other, where we can just be creative with each other, because I think that's where cool ideas happen. And because not being together always makes it difficult to actually get an idea going, but if you're there and you can do it right away as you think of it, it's much easier, I think, to produce something, create something. So this is something that I'm going to try for next year. I'm going to try to put a week together where I'll be based somewhere for a week or two, and whoever has time and feels like it can come and join me for the week there, and we'll just dive, film, and create.
Yeah, I mean that's good. It could be a sort of annual event, and if some of the once life's back to normal, which I guess is going to be at least another 12 months, some of the liveaboard companies, hint, might offer us a boat for a week, and we just get on there and post every day, and we've got 20 ScubaTubers all doing crazy things.
Yeah.
Right, let's go through the comments that are up now, and then I think we'll call it.
Sure.
What do we got here? Wet Souls, it looks like you're getting a challenge, so I would watch all the Critter Hunters videos, unless he wants to put one up on the screen now, of course, for Wet Souls. Right, and he has seen your videos, Matthias. He was just pulling your you-know-what.
All right.
Wet Souls is having a good laugh because Mark said Brock over the spear. God, is trolling? Are we getting trolled? I plan to start regular, but no idea what I'll talk about. Yeah, surprise. Can we give him a few ideas? I mean, his stories are brilliant, right? Remember when he did that one about it nearly going to jail in Egypt? I mean, he could have story time, right? Because Critter Hunter's becoming more of a lifestyle channel as well. So I mean, that was one of my favourite. I mean, I love his classic Critter Hunters where he's got that weird sense of humour talking with the fish. But that storytelling one was excellent. I think that would go really well on live stream because people would come in and ask questions. He's recently been on a channel called Every Man Has a Story, and this is an American expat in the Philippines who interviews people, interesting people, and I think we're on episode 7 or 8 with Critter Hunter. So
nice.
That would be interesting. Wet Souls are back. Critter, I'm sure if anyone, you'll be the one finding something. Critter, he's laughing.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, look, yeah, great, man. Cool.
Let's make this happen. We
will. And that's a great thing about doing the ScubaTuber live, right? Because we're getting closer together, right? Instead of just sending each other little messages and emails.
Awesome.
Right, bro. It's all right. It's cool with me. Right. I think we're through. I think this has been a really, really good interactive session. So you're obviously star quality, Matthias.
Oh, thank you so much. But you've got the format. I was only the guest. You got the setting that we needed. Thank you so much for it. I've really enjoyed being on the show.
Hopefully I'll be over 500 subscribers tomorrow. Hint, hint. Tell the world, please. Anyway, Matthias, it's been an absolute pleasure, a joy, better than I thought it would be. Really,
the pleasure was mine. The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much for having me.
Mark from Blue Horizon, Matthias has set the bar now. I mean, Critter Hunter got off to a great start, and now Matthias, he's knocked it out of the park. So I may have to get a few difficult questions for you. So sorry, Matthias, you can conclude and say goodbye to everyone.
I was saying thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure being here, interacting with all of you guys. And I hope that I will get invited back to the show sometime soon again.
Oh no, for sure. You're definitely going to be one of the favorites. And guess what? You were the second person who agreed, right? So you never forget people who supported you.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian, for doing this, for actually putting the effort into to do something for the ScubaTuber community. I think it's a great format. It's a great way of connecting with each other and just exchanging ideas and stuff. So thank you so much to you, Brian, and Justin will take you up on that resort sponsor in the Philippines. You won't get around that anymore. We'll come and dive with you. Earlier or later, it will happen for sure.
All right, we've just got a couple of closing comments. Well, they're all going wild now. Looking forward to it, sir. Oh, bloody hell. Critter Hunter's wife's calling me sir. He's calling me sir. Yeah, I'm just an old BSAC advanced instructor. You know, I've qualified with SSI as well now. I've given up on Paddy. That's another long story.
Oh, that's probably another one for another video, another live stream.
Yeah, but I don't like the slag off type videos. I like to be positive. Mark, God, that's what we should call this Critter Hunter live. Right, Wet Souls, thanks. I think Justin's obviously having trouble thinking of a challenge for you. Otherwise, he would have put it up. It's too late now because we're going to stop Critter Hunter, so you'll have to do it live. Wet Souls, you'll have to watch his videos. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. We've been on an hour. You know, awesome. It's just flown by.
It has. It really has, which is a good sign.
All right. So anytime, if any of you want to come in on one of these, you can just put it in the comments. I can then send you a link and you can come into the broadcast and ask questions. We might try that from Friday if someone's brave enough to do that. Right. So it's dark here. Matthias has got to go and see if he's won that award, and I hope he has.
I'll let you know. I'll let you all know as soon as I know the results from the.
I'm sure it'll be on Facebook tonight or tomorrow morning.
Definitely will. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Cheers.